All right, in this video, I want to do a little bit with formatting and then also look at a new function called VLOOKUP, which helps us to look up data, particularly in a larger sheet where you don't want to have to manually sort through and try to find that number on your own. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm back in here and I'm under the support calculator tab. So I'm in here. Now in your text, it will give you the formulas to fill in for parts B6 through B15. Once you do that, this data will automatically populate on its own. So when you first have the worksheet, you're saying to yourself, hey, this is all blank. How do I do this? Well, you're going to go to your book, you're going to practice, you're going to enter these formulas and data that they give you, and then this will all populate and you'll be able to jump in where we are. So a couple of things I want to show you is it is nice to have formatting. Sometimes it's nice to highlight what our input is or what our output is, where our formulas are, and so on. So what your book recommends here, and again, I already entered all the data in first, so I'm going to do it a little bit backwards from your book, is I'm going to just use my cell styles to give some formatting. So I'm going to select cells B6 through B9. Now, this is all fixed data that your book will have you input. And when I go to the home feature, I see cell styles, and I can label this, for instance, as input. And again, I'm using our cell style that we already kind of agreed upon here, the colors that we're using, etc. And you can see they changes this to orange with like a blue font background there. You can also select cell B10 and we can change that style. So that's a calculation piece. So I can change that to calculation and that will format differently. And you can see I have a formula in that cell. I also have formulas here in B13 through B15. So I'm going to do the same thing there and highlight those as calculations. So again, we're just formatting to show the reader that, different things are happening here. These are values that were inputted. These are actual calculations. Now I haven't done this part yet, but maybe you would like 18 to be 21 to be particular output values or something like that. So we can label those as our outputs. And again, you're just kind of playing around with the different formatting to find out, what looks nice for your document, right? It should be easy to read and easy to figure out all the different parts. So what I want to show you here, and again, if you need to pause the video and actually enter these data and formulas on your own, go to your text, enter them, and you'll see all this pop up. Now, this is a lot of data, right? I mean, it's not a ton, but it's a good amount that I don't really want to manually sort through and look for an individual little number. So sometimes when we're working with Excel is you really do need like one number in that sheet. Maybe you need to look up a particular employee and you have 1,000 employees at your company, right? So do you really want to go through and sort through? Probably not. So we have a function called VLOOKUP, which is really helpful there. So I'm going to put that, let's see, which boxes your book want us to put this in. I think we want to do it in 18. Yeah, so I'm going to use B18 here as my holding cell there. And we're going to do that VLOOKUP function. So again, you can find it different ways, but if you go to formulas and you're looking for lookup and reference, so these are all your formulas that you can use to help look up data within your worksheets. And the one that we're going to focus on right now is called VLOOKUP. So how do you enter this? It takes a little bit of practice to get used to it. So the first thing that you need to enter into VLOOKUP value is where is your value going to occur here, right? So we do want to know, like, where is this going to actually occur, first of all. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm really looking for the number. In this case, I'm going to use my cell reference, but I'm looking for this number 14. So let's say I want to know, what happens when I have 14 operators on available that day. So I'm going to use the cell reference here. So this is cell B7. So the value that I'm trying to find in my table in my Excel sheet is this number 14. So I'm going to use my absolute cell reference here, B7, to say that I want this number to be found, right? Find me the number 14, whatever is in this cell. Now, what you do next is you're going to tell the function where you want it to look. So if you look here in the background, you see that we have a table that was put in here, right? So we do have this lookup table. So this is the table where all my data is. So I'm going to tell Excel that, hey, you're going to look in this particular table here. And our table starts at E5. So you're going to start with the heading, and then it actually goes all the way down to H32. So I'm going to go ahead and again, just tell Excel that I'm going to go from E5 to H32. So that's where the table is. Now, the column index number is a little different. Oh, hang on, I have a mistake here somewhere. Let's see where my mistake is. Right there. Oh, hang on, 32. So I have too many colons. Let's get rid of that colon and get rid of this colon. All right. That looks better. So we're going from E5 to H32 there. And again, you saw that there was a little error symbol here, right? So I knew I had a typo in there somewhere. Now, your column index number, this is not the letter columns in the Excel document. You're going to look at the number of columns in your table. So see, our table has 1, 2, 3, 4 columns. So this is column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4. Now, for this particular, I'm going to have to fix that in a second, but for this particular one, we're looking at the probability of waiting on hold. So we're looking for that information here. So if I go up to my table, the hold probability is in the second column of the table. So I'm going to type in the number 2 there to tell Excel that you will find it somewhere in this column. So a few things. One, I have to tell Excel what number or which value I'm looking for. So I want the value 14. And again, I use my cell reference there, V7, to let them know. Then I have to tell Excel where my table of information is. So I let it know the cells that they should be looking at. And then I do tell Excel which column they should be looking at. So here I want the hold probability information. So they're looking at column 2 of the table. Now, the last part here, and this part is, I don't know, maybe a little confusing, but you're actually going to write the word false here. So the way Excel works is they can do an exact lookup for an exact match, which is what we want, or they can do an approximate lookup, which looks more in like a range of values. So for now, we're going to stick with exact matches. So the word false will give you an exact match, where it's true will give you an approximate match, so the closest match possible. So you're going to use the word false there to get an exact match. And then we go ahead and click OK, and you will see that that value of 80.32% has popped into my cell. So that was the percent when we have 14 operators on. But again, this data is pretty small, so you could probably find it on your own. But by using the formulas, it's nice because if anything were to change later on, then a formula will update appropriately, right? So you're not going through and refining that number. So that VLOOKUP is really helpful there. And also particularly in really big data sets, where it's like maybe you have an employee number and you want to find out, I don't know, their birth date. So you know they're somewhere in there, but you don't want to have to manually go through and search that. And you can use that VLOOKUP feature there. All right, so maybe we'll do it one more time. So let's do the next one here, expected hold time. All right, so for this one, what they would like to do here is, again, we're going to use the same lookup value, right? We're still going to focus on 14 operators. So that's going to be my B7. I'm using the same table. So that was, what was it, E5 through H32. Just check that. Now this time we want to look at the expected hold time there. So if I go back to my table, the hold time is in the third column, right? So I'm going to use the number 3. And again, I'm going to type in false here so that I get the exact match. And you can see that 1156 transferred right down to here. All right, and again, the nice thing here is that we can update this, right? If I wanted to change the information here to maybe 20 operators, right, and hit enter, then those values are going to change automatically too. So by using the VLOOKUP, if you make a small change, it will update appropriately, again, which is, I think, really, really helpful.